With third term coming to an end and SRC elections on their way, Activate sat down with the SRC's president and vice president to discuss the transport issue, their administration, and the changeover from the current SRC to the new councillors voted in. The transport issue was brought to the public's attention when students, along with the SRC, marched to university admin in protest of the transport situation at Rhodes.
Basically, our plea was that there's inadequate transport at Rhodes as it stands. The two transports being provided by the RP union as well as the SRC is basically not enough capacity, does not actually facilitate enough room or transport for students, for over 1,000 students that are currently utilizing it. And the buses are actually worn out. They're an accident waiting to happen, basically. So what we are saying is we're demanding a facility that is actually adequate enough to transport our students, especially with the recent closing down of road trip and the airport transport. I think the question is, what is management going to do this year? I think after management has transferred the responsibility of the safety and access of the institution to students themselves, that being the RP union and the SRC. They've distanced themselves from providing transport. They say that they want in the transport business, which I feel is somewhat an unfair statement when you're looking at issues around accessibility to the institution's facilities, etc. We saying that they need to facilitate a process where they actually provide transport to students.
While trying to get the university to take responsibility for student transport, SRC councillors have also learned what each of their jobs actually entails and how decisions by previous administrations affect their own.
I mean, there are a lot of things that we are still learning about the institution right now in terms of finances, our budgets, a bit of history, years ago history that have real implications now, especially in terms of finances, because we're paying off a huge deficit, kind of partly responsible because of the bus itself that has been running for the past couple of years. But yeah, I mean, there's always things to learn. There's always things you need to find out. And I mean, that question, obviously, yes, yeah. There's a lot of things we learned on the job as well.
However, with SRC nominations out, it is time for a new administration to be ushered in. Badi and Bense explained just how the transition takes place.
Councillors would book out after third term and be like, oh yeah, new council, go and find out for yourselves, you know. But as well, the new president actually is, what do they call it? The
incoming president.
Yes, incoming president is actually, well, Saki will be the incoming president's advisor. That's how it works every year. So there's always, and there are alumni that are still at Rhodes that will continue to advise and give their experiences and their context really, and to explain decisions that have been made.
But in retrospect, of course, there's certain things that you might now be aware of that you might want to correct in terms of how you hand over and how you do that entire process. And of course, these people who are going to be coming in now will learn from us for next year, so to keep improving. But it's an important process nonetheless. We recently introduced an induction process last year. It was the first induction that was taking place, and we took oath. And we take it that people will actually take the responsibility of carrying out the promises that they've made to the students.